You're right, guys, back at the castle. So in this one, as I said before, I wanted to do the gatehouse. Now, I'm pretty chuffed with how this one turned out. Spoiler. Um, I the the way I did it originally, for those of you who've watched my castle video, I'm gonna keep linking it every time I do a castle bit at the bottom. But basically, it took about probably 3 times the length of this one, purely because of the fact that I did it in a weird way. But this one is done quite straightforward. So I begin with the bottom. Using the concrete blocks. Just for note, if you don't have much concrete, there are loads of concrete sacks, bags of concrete rather, actually in the underground area. The armory on the little pathing there's quite a little bit. So basically, I put the concrete pieces at the bottom. Now, people did mention this before, just for whatever reason, on these wheels I repair, I actually just keep them one wide. You can keep them two, but I find that they actually stick out of the wall a little bit, and a lot of PC users are mentioning there's a mod you can use which actually snaps in a completely perfect castle wall, which I'm sure is great. Kind of defeats the object of, you know, making it look scrappy. Anywho, so basically what I do is pretty much just concrete, and I wanted to have a kind of a look of wood. Now it's funny because I spent ages fucking around with this part, and not realizing I could have done it in a lot simpler way. Because basically I'm using the foundations, because this is how I did it before. And eventually I get rid of all of these wooden foundations. I mean, it does obviously help, I guess, slightly, in the fact is I can line up the top level. But what I'm doing right now is utterly pointless. Because basically, because I wanted it to be an actual gatehouse, I ended up making the gatehouse a building as opposed to the foundations. But I'll realise my idiot mistake in a sec, don't worry. Keeping it pretty open, I wanted to actually have an area that we could look out of. See, originally what I'd done, again, randomly, when I did my one, is I've actually put the boards on foundations. I don't know why I did it in my original castle like the way I'm trying to do it now, and then I realised, oh yeah, that's really stupid. But the end result is it does end up looking rather cool and a lot more secure than my original castle building. So I'm just putting a simple ladder here. I'm having a bit of a ponder. Kind of what do I do next? So I've got the kind of basic frame done. So going up here, and this is when I believe I might have realised I'm an idiot. So I was like, oh yeah. So basically, first thing I do is slap in concrete again, because I wanted a more of a harder surface for the... I have to jump up here as well, just because of the angle. For the actual building to go in. So the first part basically was a waste of your time, but it's okay. It was a waste of mine too, and I wanted you all to suffer. I could have edited that part out. I didn't. Plus, you did want to see my errors and trials, all that jazz. So in the original, my original castle, see what this what I'm doing is basically I'm just using the little, just the general little balconies with the overhang bit, so I can have someone kind of peeking through. Whereas my original castle, if you go look at it, it's got this very, very elaborate little balcony railing thing, which took me freaking hours. I mean, I think my original castle gatehouse took about 3 hours, whereas this one it's about 46 minutes, if you don't count the farts where I go and make a cup of tea, which obviously I don't record, so you're all grand. So basically right now I did ponder actually putting an actual staircase in. The problem is, because it's obviously on foundation, I'd then have to remove the foundation underneath, and it would look a little bit weird, which is unfortunate. Just it would be nice to maybe have a staircase going up. So with this part here, I haven't made a decision on what I'm going to build in terms of... Because the next video is going to be the remaining battlements, because obviously they're quite kind of uneven ground. So I'm still undecided on what I'm going to do with them, which is why with this part I haven't actually built a tower, effectively. Because I knew I might change my mind, and also I want to match it up. See that little tower I've got, you can see in the top corner there? I haven't built it. I've kept this top part flat for now, because quite simply put, it just gives us something kind of basic. Oh, the reason you don't see it very quickly, but the reason why I had to re-record is because we hit the settlement limit, and I had to go store a load of guns, and it took about 5 minutes, but I did it quite a few times. But yeah, so we're leaving this part flat, so it's pretty much just gonna... See, I'm pondering it there, but I just kind of go, no, let's just keep it... foundation, just keep it the railings for now, and then I can kind of, in the next video, if we want to put something bigger up here, because the main thing about this is actually the gatehouse, which I, again, am very chuffed by. So, this part is very, very, very awkward. Now, The reason being is because I'm going to use the technique I showed you in that little 3-point video, which I really should make a new one of those as well. But anyway, but because of the uneven ground and the fact that I've got an exact point I want the stairs to reach, and it needs to be completely straight, I have a little bit of a trouble. I eventually realised how to do it, and I'm like, of course, you're an idiot, David. I must admit, I did actually stop recording and just experiment for a little bit, because I didn't want to have 20 minutes to be faffing around, which is what I did end up doing. So basically, I'm trying different ways, because obviously I was going to just slap the board down, you know how I did before, you slap the 2 small shack floors down, then you slap another one down, and you can put the boards, the stairs on them, and then you can build the thing, whereas obviously the ground's uneven. I was having a bit of a nightmare in terms of, because when I would snap the stairs onto these boards, the stairs would be floating, whereas I want the stairs to be sinking in the ground a little bit on the first level. So you see it here? It's too high up. I eventually just go, oh, you're an idiot, and figure it out, but I wanted you to actually see my thought process. So this is the point where I've realised what I did. So basically, I need to get this part, I wanted to sort out this area first, so it needs to be level. The reason being is I wanted this area to use it as an area to match up. Also, it could be perfectly smooth. So you see what I'm doing here? I am getting this, because obviously this is 2 by 2 in the center. But obviously, because I want that foundation part in the middle, because that's going to be where the stairs are going to be attaching to. And also if you try and put 2 by 2 foundations in that part, just the way the rubble fits, it's too raised up. Also, I'm checking how high the wall is as well, because I'm worried Brahmin won't be able to get through, but I'm definitely sure they will be able to. Right, so basically what we do here is I'm having a little bit around. So I was originally thinking of putting that on the edge, slap it in the center here. This is very complex, so you might want to have to rewatch this video back again. It's just, effectively what I do is I build up a long path of these shack floors. And for those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and then I grab one, I drop it, and then I put one on the end, so then it snaps into the ground. So then I can take that off, and then attach... What am I doing? Attach the stairs, Davey? Yeah. Oh, I've still not done it properly, so I have to move it back a little bit more, because it's still not done. I do redo this quite a few times, just because getting these straight was a bit of a pain in the arse. But basically, that's as close to the floor as I can get those stairs. The reason being is why they need to be close to the floor is properly, so they're too raised up. None of my settlers have been actually able to get into the castle gate, and especially with this area, it gets a lot of foot traffic from the provisioners. So basically, I'm using lots of trial and error to line up these shack floors and shack stairs in a way, and I'm going back, so I'm going forward, because I realised that the staircase wasn't far enough forward to make a suitable... It needed to be the right length. You'll see what I mean when I've made it. It's really difficult to explain. It's a little bit, not esoteric, but a bit complex as hell. So I'm putting those boards in. There we go, and now it sinks in, and I know for a fact that it's going to be the exact right distance. So it's pretty much the same technique as before. It actually works a lot better once you've got the actual angle of where you put the stairs in. It actually works a lot better in the castle, just because of the fact that the stairs kind of sink into the rubble anyway, so don't look like they're floating. But I'm still going to be putting a foundation on these, so I pop these off. With these, because you may notice I'm constantly looking back at the entranceway. The reason being is I had to re-record this entire part, because when I finished these stairs, they were at such a silly little angle that they were pointing off, so it wasn't centered. So I'm focused on getting them as centered as possible, which is why I keep kind of looking back and just kind of readjusting them, because it's very easy because the stairs to kind of sink off to the left or right. So here we go. Gorgeous. However, I believe I raise it up one more. Do I? I do. It's a bit of a fiddly one, this. It's deciding on where to actually put it. Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, no, it was all perfect now, I think. I forgot what I did. Ah, there we go. Now, quick note on here. You see I've got that gap in the corner. You have to accept the fact that sometimes things aren't going to be perfect. Do not worry. I do cover it over. So I can slap the foundations in. For those of you who watched my castle video, you notice it isn't as crisp as this. This little foundation here does take me a wee while to get in, by the way. It turns out I had to take the top stairs off and snap them back in. Have a little bit of a special moment, shall we say. If you, because I understand that what I'm doing, I had to speed up because the video would be too long. However, I understand that this might be quite complex. Any questions on this, just, yeah, obviously you said, ask me a question, just leave me a comment on here, or, you know, tweet me at norespawns on Twitter and I'll answer it, because I appreciate how complex this might seem. So that's the stairs done anyway. And then we're going to do the stairs again at the back. Quick note, because the next video, or maybe the one after next on the castle is going to be the interior, I don't actually do much work on this side of the gatehouse. The reason being is because I might end up connecting the gatehouse to something, and that's a whole different other video. So it's mostly on the front, but I do put these little staircases in just so, you know, we have a working staircase that basically my settlers and my provisioners can use once I actually start letting them come here. So this one's pretty straightforward. It's the same premise. It's very difficult to do the stairs post building a structure, as I remember I showed you on those 3 tips video. So my advice is to always do them first if you can, but obviously with the castle, because we know exactly where they need to go, it's quite fiddly. So now it's just a simple case of adding the railings on, because I'm obviously going to turn this into not... Oh, this, by the way, is exactly what I was trying to show you before. I remember when I showed you the turrets? That was what I was trying to do. You can actually snap them in, but because they were too high up, it was a bit awkward. But you can actually snap the boards in perfectly, so they sink, rest just gloriously, and just completely snugly against the railing. So it looks very, very grand. Now, a quick shout out to literally dozens of you who, when I told you in the fence tutorial that I hadn't figured out how to get these gate working with the rug, as you can see, it actually does work. It doesn't work with the ones where you connect the doors, but it does work for this one, and that was an absolute bloody godsend, because when I first did my original gatehouse, this part was an absolute nightmare, because of the way the collision worked with that gate, it just wasn't going in. Now, obviously, I do fiddle with it quite a bit, because I want it to close completely tight against the top of the ceiling. It takes me a while, but basically I just keep moving it and closing it, moving it and closing it. Because it slightly goes into the wall. But yeah, a special thank you to you guys who commented on that. I hadn't realised that if you basically just let it float in the centre, basically it just connects without connecting. Yeah, it blew my little mind, and that's going to make me very happy. To be honest, that little technique there is the reason why this gatehouse looks so secure when it's finished. So again, we're just going back and forth, just kind of getting it straight. I do leave the rugs on for quite a bit as well, because I know I'm going to... Yeah, there we go. It's looking pretty cool now. We've got those gaps at the side. I already knew in advance how I was going to do this, because this is similar to my old gatehouse, but I like to think a more secure, better, crisper, and easier to build version of it. So basically, I'm going to be putting lots of sinking the fences in. Oh, you're going to see me fuck around with the rug glitch so much on this. Like, so much. Basically, a quick note when you're having trouble with the rug glitch. When it starts doing what I did there, just store all the rugs and start again on a different location. The reason being is, for some reason, once they start doing that, they sometimes just continue doing that. Right, so let me junk fence. I'm using the big fat ones to cover, and my recommendation, if you've ever got like gaps like this in the castle, just use the big fat tire ones, because they're really good at plugging holes, because they're so thick. And that's what I just shove them in there. Do the exact same thing on the other side. It just gives you quite a nice, kind of really scrappy reinforced entrance. As you can see, like with the last one, I've done this so many times that, if anything, there's not really much I can tell you beyond kind of giving you an idea of what my thought process was while I'm doing it. Like, for example, at this point here, I leave that slight gap there because I know I'm going to put another fence in. But at the same time, because it's going to start leading to the inside of the gatehouse, which I don't want to do yet. I want to do that when I do the interior videos, because again, I might end up having that a giant building basically at the front. I'm not too sure yet. So just popping those in here. But it's looking pretty grand. So now we're on the outside, and I want to start... I already knew I wanted this to look a lot less I guess I didn't want those foundation legs to be showing because it still looks almost flimsy. I want this to look like it's made out of wood and scrap metal and is just like, it can take a fat man rocket. So I experiment a little bit. The railings aren't going to be working on this part just to all the structures getting in the way. I thought it was just the rugs, but it's also the fact the stairs and things like that. But that's not too much of an issue because I'm going to be, again, using the rug glitch to squeeze up all of the junk fences onto the side of the foundation, similar to how I do my guard towers, basically. That was the idea here, that using that same premise. Just a quick note as well, it does make, and you maybe want to make them a little high, it does make it so the turrets I add are maybe only just poking over the top, but they still have good range, and to be honest, I'm going to have a load of turrets on the top of the gatehouse anyway when I do the next castle video, so it'll be fine. So pretty much, even though with the castle, and I did say this in the last video as well, it's almost, for me, it's going through the motions, so sometimes I'm kind of trying to figure out what to say, but it's more because it's just such an overwhelming build that a lot of people don't know what to do. So that's why what I'm doing here, to be honest, isn't maybe any more innovative than some of my more kind of okayish structures, but because it's utilizing the space more than anything. It's what you can do with the space as opposed to what magical thing you can put there, if you know what I mean. The only reason this looks as good and does look as good, or I'm as satisfied, shall we say, as it does, is because of the Let's Build videos that I've been doing. I've actually learned how to do things better. So a quick note here. The way, when you're sinking anything with a rug glitch, if it's on a slightly raised land, like see it's on the corner like that, I moved it at the side because it's going to use the collision of the smallest rug. So if I moved it so in a way so the smallest rug was at the lower part, it sinks in the fence at a much more of a nicer angle. Just a quick note, if you're having trouble with using the rug glitch on say 10 Pines Bluff is a great example where doing it at a different angle or moving the fence around will actually allow you to sink the rug in at a more pleasing looking angle. It does get dark, by the way. I do rest up. I just wanted to finish this part. Looking good. Nearly good. Yeah. This took a lot of fiddling. I leave the rugs on for ages because I need to kind of keep moving them back and forth. Right, so that's good. Oh, look at that, how pretty the weather is. So, I decided to not do the rug glitch outside because it was pissing me off. So I'm going to do these really quick. So this is, again, I'm using the fat kind of, I call them the fat fences. They're not fat, they're big boned people, alright? Leave them alone. But yeah, and I'm using those fences to basically, yeah, I'm having a twat monkey time with this rug. So you notice as well, it's using the original collision. Now that it's connected to the smaller rug, that big rug was actually sinking into the ground. And it's just worth noting, it's just kind of really interesting that had I moved the blue rug around on its own, it would have been over, but when it was attached to the little rug, it was then kind of almost cutting into the earth. But anyway, basically, I'm using these big fat ones here to actually plug gaps. And it looks really nice, actually, because it just looks like, we're just shoving metal and wood and just generally... it's scrappy and messy, but there's weird amounts of order there. And to the point where I might even fill those gaps up. I'm not too worried about them. And there is a slight little gap in the fence, but when I do the interior part is when I might do the inside of the gatehouse. It's just that because I don't know how I'm going to do the interior, and it might connect to the inside of the gatehouse, I didn't want to waste my time and then delete it in the next episode. So now taking the mats off, picking the fences back up and down again, not actually moving them, just it stops them from shaking. Even though they stop when you leave the area, but it's just nice to... So there we go, looking good so far. Have a big gander. I'm pretty chuffed with myself at this point, by the way. So now, I believe I wanted to do... Is it the guardhouses? Don't know why I put the rug glitch in. Doing the rug glitch here. Just don't do it there. Don't. Do it here, okay? I know it does involve you running back and forth, but... Yeah, nice and flat, all pretty. You'll save... Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, don't do that. Do it there. It's a bit of a weird area, this. Because there are like little kind of lumpy bits of land that you maybe don't notice. So I wanted 2 big guard posts on the side, and I had to use the rug glitch to put them in. Not because I wanted them particularly close, but because of the way the ground is uneven, and I'm using it from the front, it meant that the back of that guard tower is actually sinking into the earth a little bit more. Whereas if I just place the guard tower on its own, it would be slightly kind of raised on the front and would look a little bit weird. So, and again on the other one. Also note with this one, just because the ground is kind of higher on one side of the gatehouse to the other, these towers aren't actually, I guess, the same height. But potentially I might go back and put a foundation under this one here. I do actually take a look. For a second I thought they weren't just level up, but as you can see, the ground is actually just more sloped on this side. It doesn't bother me because it just looks realistic, but I potentially might just put a foundation underneath, perhaps. Looking pretty cool so far. I'm so chuffed with this gatehouse. It looks so much more secure than my original one, and the stairs especially are a lot of a snugger fit. It's looking grand so far. I went with heavy laser turrets because I should say I don't power these, and the reason why I don't power these is because the infrastructure for the power is going to come in a later video, and I just don't want to slap a stupid generator around. But they're there, just so we know they're there. Gonna pop some flags on. I might have to move them around because you can see they're kind of slicing into the fence a little bit. But it's all good, to be honest. I just wanted to kind of pop something there. And then do that. And that's pretty much the gatehouse done. I know it seems like, but when you see the tour, you'll kind of get a better idea of what we've achieved so far. And it's not very hard to do. And again, as I mentioned in the last video as well, the gatehouse is, the castle is one of those areas that looks good when it's finished. But I mean, I'm really chuffed with this gatehouse, but because obviously the space around it is so empty, it almost doesn't look finished, but it is. Basically, the only thing that this isn't done is I haven't obviously done the inside of the gate, like as in that top floor, because I have no idea what I'm going to put there yet, and also the actual, I guess, inside of the gatehouse. But that's because we're actually, after we finish the battlements, then we'll do the interior castle area. I had a bit of a twat monkey time with this little guard post here. But right, guys, that's it. I'm going to end up with a little kind of quiet walk around now. Look at it. Doesn't that look fucking awesome? Right. Next Fallout video will be on... I'm going to do two. So one on Saturday and Sunday. Any questions? Because I know this one was quite a complex one. Either comment on the video or just tweet me at norespawns. Follow me on Twitter. All that jazz. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.